Yo, welcome to the Table Talk podcast, where we sit down, pull up a chair, and we get started. This podcast is designed to provide you packed full of information to help you with your training, nutrition, lifestyle, and well-being, where we interview myself through case studies to give you lifetime experience. And then we also interview high-performing individuals or other career-focused people who are looking to make changes in their lifestyle, training, nutrition, and well-being. So let's pull up that chair and let's go. All right, welcome to the next episode with Tom, where we actually now dive deeper into how he put it, transformed the way that he educated and taught in the industry. What are three key times where you're like really resonated with or really felt like, yeah, like that was great? Like, for example, I believe it was Rob Lyon, you said?
Yeah.
Like a big turning point was when he said, hey, can you do this for me while I go away? And then can you keep doing it? You said yes.
No, yeah. So that Rob wasn't the man that did that.
Okay.
Rob was the teacher at my diploma of fitness. So he was just the one that he was just an inspiration in a sense where he was just operating at such a high level and he was just such a good teacher. He was just so good at what he did that I was like, oh my God, I was just in awe of him. And it kind of like opened up this, okay, well, this is the standard that I'm aspiring towards. And I'm going to try and reach that standard. Because he was an exercise physiologist, and a lot of what he taught in his diploma of fitness was centered around working with special populations and working with rehab. So that's kind of the route that I went down within my personal training business at that moment in time, where I focused on really just learning about working with special pops, working rehab, and kind of went down that rabbit hole, if you like. But so he kind of allowed me to see what could be done within the fitness industry. Then the opportunity to teach was presented to me by Darius, who I mentioned, and that was obviously a turning point, but it was a turning point. He gave me the opportunity, and I'm forever grateful to him for that. But the other side of it was that I just said yes. Like I've always been a big believer of, it doesn't matter if you've got the skills at the time. What matters is that you care enough about it that you'll go and get the skills. So I kind of just like all these opportunities when Justin presented me with an opportunity to run learning and development, again, pivotal time. But I was running or building the training and the documentation, not only for personal training, but for sales and group fitness, which I had no experience in. But I was like, I care enough about it that I'll learn what I have to learn just to make it work.
Yep. So we've got the pivotal point, taking on the team development, and then building resources for the sales and marketing as well to align with personal training. I'll count that as one story.
Okay, yeah,
cool. One element. Because how long did you do this for? Like the upskill development?
The learning and development role, the head office role, did that for a couple of years. And then I went over to manage the PT department in the Marrickville gym, in Fitness Playground's Marrickville gym. So I went from working on the gym floor to working behind a computer to then being in the office of a gym, working with a team of 30 personal trainers, managing and mentoring those guys. And again, that was a pivotal time because it put me in a position that I'd never been in before. It was one of a lot of uncertainty, and it forced me to cultivate skills that I probably otherwise didn't have the opportunity to develop. And I've actually, I say this, it's probably that period of time where I was managing the PT department was the time where I grew most. Like my rate of growth, I think, was probably in that time greater than it had been at any other time.
Because you just had so like 30 trainers, let's say 30 trainers are training 30 people, that's 900 people. It's a lot more than what one person can do. So you have a
Yeah,
lot more responsibility.
we had the 600, 650 personal training clients within the gym. We had that volume of coaches. We went through COVID at the time. So the first COVID, and just dealing with and working with that many PTs, different personalities, different goals, different aspirations, and also then being in uncomfortable positions where I had to manage conflict, sometimes unsuccessfully, and had to
Get involved.
have to have difficult conversations that I'd never had to have up until that point. So things that I hadn't been exposed to, which I'd probably say were weak or are potentially weaknesses, maybe still, at that moment in time, I was forced to make them, I was forced to get good at them. I was forced to kind of make them my strengths because I had to do it on a daily basis.
Yeah, wow. So pivotal point, asked to do the PT certs. Then we're going into learning and development. And now we're a personal training manager from solo to now 30. Well, obviously, solo to then educating trainers to come on board to then actually having PTs. So, managing like their income, their well-being. Yeah, fun.
Yeah, great.
What was
great experience.
Ring of Fire. What was the biggest challenge? Because like challenges are a blessing and a curse, right? In the sense of biggest challenge was that you were never really prepared enough for the role, but you were willing to make sure that you were not going to just be like, oh, it's too hard, I can't do it. But it was, okay, that's a problem. I'll go learn it, refine, define. Okay, now I'm better at it. Was that a big point for you, or is there something else that stands out more?
I think that's absolutely it. I think it was that. As I said, I wanted to do right by everyone. I wanted to do right by the PTs that I was working with. I wanted to do right by the company who had given me the opportunity. I wanted to do right by the clients that the PTs are serving. And it led me to put a lot of pressure on myself to make it work and to be able to give the best to them so that they can succeed, and as a result I can succeed.
Amazing. Is there any so we've got this journey now, because obviously we're talking more about the mission you have. Before we dive into the mission, what is I like the word pivotal. I like that. Creamy.
It's a good word. Yeah,
it is. There's me, share a time when you took a big risk that paid off. So if you were to, and now you're contracting with them, you've now got base camp as well. Out of all of those, is the pivotal moment that you said 2 days before, if I get the job, I'm staying or I'm going? Or is there another point where you go, actually, like, because you've mentioned a few names, is there one point where you went all in, a huge risk, and it paid off? Or do you feel like each one of those is a worthy point that was pivotal for your growth and development?
I think they've all pushed me in a direction to get to where I have now. But I mean, you could argue it all starts by getting the role, getting the job, because it could have been, yeah. Mate, I think that moment, obviously, because it was that my life could be very different right now. Like, because I could be living back in Scotland, and who knows where that would have taken me, whether it would be to continue in the fitness industry or elsewhere. So I think that first opportunity, and I had my heart set on Fitness Playground, so it was kind of like, for me, it was that or nothing. So that ultimately started the journey, and then that diploma of fitness and kind of being under Rob, learning from him, took it in a different direction where I kind of went into this rehab route, and that got me practicing and teaching. And then Darius gave me the opportunity to teach Cert 3, Cert 4, and that pushed me in the education direction. And And so all of that, and I think that there was the start of it. That was the starting to teach Cert 3 or teach Cert 4 for the first time was really the start of the journey, right? That was the start of me realizing that that is what I wanted to do, and that education was the vehicle that I wanted to use to try and make positive change.
Yeah, amazing. And where are we now? What are we doing now, Tom?
Great question.
Well, it's Wednesday. Yes.
I'm sitting in my office. As you can see, there's a sewing machine behind me.
If this doesn't work out, you get sewing. Got it. But
that's it. That's my fallback.
So, well, we're stitching things up. But so we've gone from one playground and now you're contracting. And so we're on a mission to transform the way education is done. So what is it literally like, did Fitness Playground had a really good education model and you're just following that, or how are you tweaking? Oh.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, I just said I signed out. So where you had Fitness Playground, they had a system, but the thing is they've evolved over the years. As you said, you've didn't quite know everything. You've made mistakes, you've learned from it, and you've grown. So what are you taking from this growth? Like, how are we transforming the industry?
In January, I dropped, so I was full-time at one playground, I should say now. I was full-time at one playground up until January. In January, I launched what is my own business that's called Intellectual Coaching. So entelechy is the Greek word for the realization of potential. And the kind of story behind that was the one of myself being fortunate enough to get the education and support that allowed me to realize my potential and get to the point that I am now, that I wouldn't have had the luxury to do if I didn't have that right level of education and that right level of support at the time that it mattered most. And I know that there's so many people getting into the fitness industry that have so much potential to do incredible things that never get to fulfill it because they're not given the right education and the right support to allow them to actually see it out, if you like. So the brand is Intellectual Coaching, and the story behind it is to help coaches and help PTs realize their potential. And for me, it was like, I knew that Fitness Playground, anyone that starts at Fitness Playground, genuinely or one playground, I think they've got, as you mentioned, they've got the education system that will allow them to succeed and will allow them to realize their potential. But they're a very small percentage of the total percentage of people that are getting into the fitness industry. So I decided to launch my own so that I could try and reach and help more people, try and help more coaches actually get to the point where they see they're able to follow or get into the industry that they care so much about. They're able to get into the industry that they love, and they're able to be educated and supported to turn it into a career and actually have the career that they want from it, helping other people. Because that's ultimately why we get into the industry in the first place. So for me, I decided that I was going to go take a step back, and I was going to build a business that was going to try and support even more people beyond the walls of one playground. And I was kind of in this position of, well, where do I start? And the most logical answer was start at the start, right?
I was going to say the mezzanine, but yep.
Or the mezzanine. So for me, it's very much about, when it comes to education, it's the right information at the right time, delivered in the right way. And coaches or PTs getting into the industry off the back of their certifications are the ones that are at most risk of failing, because they haven't been given this baseline level of education, and there's a good chance that they're going to end up in a workplace that doesn't support them. So my goal was to build a program, which is what Basecamp is to help personal trainers that are in that kind of first stage of their growth, where their goal is to build their business enough so that they have enough income to cover rent, to cover their basic expenses, so that they can actually secure their immediate financial future and actually start seeing this as a career, being able to commit to it full time. And then they can kind of move through the other stages of growth that follow. So I built Basecamp. That's a 12-week group coaching and training program that is very much centered around the first step, which is just getting clients. Because if you can get clients, enough clients paying you enough money to start earning $6,000 per month, then you can cover all your expenses. You can make sure that you can live and survive without needing another job. And by being able to create that shift in your mindset, then you can get to a point where you're able to consider this your full-time career and start investing in it and grow even further. And that's that kind of, as we mentioned, that base camp being, you need to get to the base before you can climb.
You're over here, you gotta travel to base, get started. Wow. So for those that are curious, 6,000 divided by 4 is 1,500 per week. In a typical gym, rent's about $400, $500 a week. So that's a big chunk out of a lot of people's salaries to start with, especially when, day zero, $500 every week. It's like, but I haven't started. So so if I'm, let's case study, Carl. So I'm a trainer, I'm scared, but I want to do fitness. This is the only gym that's near me. I've now signed up. I'm paying $500 a week. Where do I go, Tom? Other than to Basecamp, but I'm listening in, I'm freaking out. I'm paying this money and I don't see a way out. Number one is, what advice would you have for that trainer? And then the second one is how do I get in contact with you? But where are people starting with you at Basecamp? Where are they going? As you said, getting clients, but what are we doing to get those clients? Or how does it work for Basecamp?
I look at it as, first you need to know what, I start with them, right? So you've kind of got to know, what is it you want from it? What are your goals for your personal training business? What are your aspirations for it? And kind of getting an understanding of what it is that they're trying to achieve. And I'll tie that back into what is the life that they want that they're hoping personal training will give them. And then moving into that, once you kind of know what that underlying goal, if you like, is then looking at, what does your PT product look like? Because I think a lot of the time it's about being able to recognize PT is more than just delivering sessions. PT is
what?
No. I know.
That's what I signed up for, Tom. Just PT. That's what my cert says.
It's so multifaceted, right? In terms of what we do.
Rep counter, nutritionist, dietitian, therapist, therapist.
Yeah, you've got to be able to count to 10. You've got to have a solid high five as well. If you don't, forget about it.
Take your shoes off. You can do 20 reps.
Yeah. And also look really weird.
Today's standout, isn't
it? So understanding that your PT product isn't just about delivering sessions, it's about delivering an experience, right? And all of the things that are involved in that experience that support someone through the change process and support people in being able to achieve their goals. And then also recognizing what is that transformation that you create for people. And I kind of went through a journey where I used to think transformations, I just associated them with body comp.
Mm.
But transformation isn't just body comp, it's in the eyes of whoever's in front of you. It could be just a transformation in the way that they feel, not necessarily the way that they look, or a transformation in the way that they perform on a day-to-day basis, not necessarily in the gym. And being able to recognize, well, what is the impact that what you do will have on people, not just in the immediate, but then also that ripple effect of the impact that it will have on them beyond that. And how can you then design a product that is catered towards a coaching experience and delivering a transformation relative to the people that you want to help? Because I think once you're clear on that, you can get very clear on how to communicate it in a clear and concise and compelling way that makes people want to talk to you. And then in terms of actually then going out and generating that interest, I think the most underutilized tool is just having a conversation, like talking to people.
I'm out. Sorry, that's not PT.
Yeah.
Talk to people. Yeah.
It's like we're kind of guilty of that whole magic bullet again, like thinking you can wake up one day with a bit of inspiration and put a post on social media and everyone's going to come flocking. It is like, and then being disappointed when you don't get anything.
Yes. And then not changing it. Like you do it for 3 months. It's like, no, this is the one. And then 3 months later, you're like, you do something completely different. You're like, how did that work? Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just having conversation, because at the end of the day, before anyone can end up working with you, they need to be aware of who you are and what you do. So you need to be looking at strategies to create awareness before you can actually worry about creating attention and creating attraction. So then it's like, well, how can you create awareness in as many people as you can? And I look at it as like, who is your inner circle? Who is your outer circle? And then like, who's in the cosmos? And I use the metaphor of of Saturn, right? So Saturn's got like 2 rings around it, and you've got the actual planet that's your business, and then you've got that inner ring, which is the ring that you have the most gravitational pull over, right? So that might be friends, family, it might be current clients, it might be anyone that wants to see you succeed, or anyone that is close to you and you have the most influence over. And then you've got like your outer ring, which you've still got a gravitational pull over them, right? You still have a level of influence over them, but not as much as those in your inner circle. So that might be like friends of friends, or past clients, or people that you've kind of interacted with in the past. And then you've got like your outer ring, which are people that don't know who you are and what you do, or kind of aren't really interested. And I kind of look at, well, everyone immediately goes to not the outer ring. Sorry, you've got the cosmos, is like the people that don't, the galaxy, it's the people that don't know who you are and what you did.
Pesky Earth sending ships every so often to.
Yeah.
What an analogy! I love it.
So people always, I think a lot of PTs think they have to like go to the galaxy to try and get clients. But I'm like, go to the people that are in your inner circle first, because they're either your ideal client or they can help you reach your ideal client. And then once you went to the inner circle and had conversations with them, go to the outer circle, because there's probably a handful of people in there that are either your ideal client or can help you reach your ideal client. And then once you've been through that, then look at strategies to reach the people that don't know you.
So a lot of people are going the other way around, outside in rather than inside.
And think of that journey. Like, it's going to take a lot longer to get someone that doesn't know you to become aware of you, to then start paying attention to you by seeing value in what you do, to becoming attracted to you in the sense that they want to work with you, to the point where they're ready to invest. Right? That's going to be a lot longer a process than someone that already knows you, already values you, already wants to see you succeed, that are already attracted to you, for lack of a better phrase, that will then become invested in your PT product. that's going to be a lot shorter a process. So if you're in this position where you're like, oh, I've got to get $500 a week worth of rent, well, stop trying to do these strategies that are going to take you forever, right? Try and reach the people that are close to you and want to help or can help.
Mm. So in
And
summary,
talk
find
about
out
yourself.
So find out about yourself, so then you can talk about yourself and work with the inner platform that you have. So find that bright tail, bushy eye tail, paying $500 a week with no clients. Start in the gym. Start with conversation of people around you. Maybe even start with the other PTs that maybe you get along with and see if there's anyone that they feel that could use your help. And then over time, when you feel you can't tap into that resource anymore, then look outside. Or go to Saturn and get full understanding of the example.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So, just Google Saturn and it will tell you everything you need to know.
I nearly did. I'm like, it's got 2 rings. But then, so base camp is
I don't know if it does. It kind of looked like it did when I looked at a picture. I was like, that's close enough for an analogy.
That's great. Saturn rings of Saturn. The rings of Saturn are the most extensive ring system of any planet in the solar system. They consist of countless small particles ranging in size from micrometers to meters that orbit around Saturn. The ring particles are made almost entirely of water, ice, with a trace component of rocky material. Like people, 7% water. Very good. Yeah.
Any mention of how many rings?
Nah, it's pretty much it's made up of many like particles and atoms. But looking at this image, it's got like one, like a thin, whitish, then it's got a black line, and then another one. So it does look like it has 2 solid rings. And then there's another one that's got a what is it? X-ray one that's thermometer or temperature, and it's got like a rainbow of colors. Actually, I can share my screen.
Forget about that one. You're not interested in that one.
So you can see. Oh, that's run out. You can see. So this is the one. See clearly 2 rings, but then look at this one. Look at all that.
Yeah, oof. That's difficult to put into an analogy.
It's fake. Yeah. don't watch it.
Yeah, they're lying to you.
It's 2 base camp. Just remember that.
That's
2 base camp. So and so obviously over the weeks, so I'm struggling. I join. You're obviously helping me find out more about myself to then align with people. And then each week we're just working on different targets or chapters or obstacles, or is it more of a nurture? Like, hey, how's your week been going? What are your challenges? Where can I best be of service to?
Yeah, it's done in a structure where there's, as I call it, a training and group coaching program. So there's an element of education. So there's an element of information, and then there's a big emphasis on actual implementation, and then supporting the implementation of it. So the first module I call is your personal productivity plan. So that's kind of recognizing your goals for your business and then your goals for the product. Then you go into your PT product blueprint, where you're actually mapping out what your product looks like.
I like me a blueprint.
And then you go into your PT product launch, where you actually take it to market and start trying to attract people into it. And then the last module is your prospects to paying system, which is basically how you take someone from interested to invested so that they want to work with you. And that's going to be more of that like sales and price presentation side of it, really being able to communicate the value. Because I think a lot of people know their value, but I think a lot of people struggle to communicate their value. So a lot of it is, yes, you need to know your product, but you also need to be able to communicate it in a really clear, compelling, and concise way that creates attention and creates excitement and actually makes people want to invest in you.
Yeah, buy now. That's how it works. Yeah, 2 times a week. Buy now.
You need this.
Yeah. Isn't that how I do it? Just show them the price and then they just go, yes.
Yeah, and they don't even argue. No objections.
Ever. So, So where does the value come from? Is it really just listen to what they have to say and go, yeah, we could definitely do that. However, in my opinion, blah, 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 blah. Like there's a thing called SMART goals. Be specific, have measurements, make it achievable, be realistic and honest, and in a timely fashion. Is it as simple as just talking with someone like that in a chart, or where are we positioning this value to get people invested?
Well, I think first you need to understand what their perspective of value is. Right? You've got to understand what it is what are their expectations? What is it that they want? And I think that comes down to that information gathering process. So I use the analogy.
Is that a new question there, Tom? We got why, how can I help, and what?
What? Ooh. I use the analogy of a machine gun PT and a sniper PT. Right? A machine gun PT will just spray bullets everywhere and just hope something hits.
Yeah.
Whereas a sniper PT will know the distance, they'll know any obstructions, they'll monitor their heart rate and their breathing, and they'll gather all the information before they take the shot. But when they take the shot, they're much more likely to hit the target. So the first bit of it is that you've got to identify the value. Right? You've got to be able to ask the right questions in the right way to understand, well, what is important to the person in front of you? Right? And why is it important to them? And what's got in the way? And how can you help them? So that then you can curate an experience that is specific to their needs and to their wants. Like if I walked into a car dealership and I walked up to the salesperson and he went to me, "Oh, hey, how are you?" And he just goes and grabs me and shows me the latest Range Rover. And he goes, "Look at this cool Range Rover. You should buy this Range Rover." But I walked in and I wanted a Porsche.
Well, he's not wrong. Range Rover's a nice car.
They are, but I wanted a Porsche, right? So and then make money.
Hey, that's all my missus wants. She's like, "Nah, I want a Range Rover, I want a Land Rover." I'm like,
so yeah. You could have a Porsche.
Yeah, it's great that you use that as an example. So my missus will go, "That was a good episode. He brought up the Range Rover."
I'm on the right track then.
So the salesman goes, "You want this?" And he's like, no, you want this.
Yeah, doesn't ask me any questions, just shows me the latest Range Rover and tells me how much it's going to cost.
Just give me a credit card. But yeah.
Versus going in and being like, okay, what type of car do you want? What model do you want? Do you want 2 doors, 4 doors? Like what's important to you in the car? Steering, room for a baby seat, whatever it is. Gathering that information and then being able to show me what the most appropriate car is. And then allowing me to go for a test drive so that I can experience it, and then telling me how much it's going to cost after all of those things.
So do you think PTs should give free sessions, like a full training session?
Absolutely. But I think there's a way that you can, I don't think you position it as a free session. Like I call it an experience session.
Yeah.
Right. You're giving them a taste of the experience that they would get if they would invest in you, the same way as you probably wouldn't buy a car without a test drive. Like there's value in being able to showcase what you do in the form of not only a really in-depth quality consultation, but how you interpret that information to design an experience that is bespoke to them, and then how you communicate your value at the end of it.
Very nice. Very nice. So helping trainers to get Porsches or Range Rovers if they really want the Rover.
That's the bottom line, isn't it? I mean, is a Range Rover more than $6,000 per month?
6,000. It's 150 a year for the just up front.
All right. So how many months?
Hey, that's 2 years.
2 years. Okay, cool. Might need to extend the program out. It's no longer a 12-week program. It's now a 2-year program.
That's the summit. That's the summit program.
Yeah.
That's the pinnacle, the peak. Yeah. It's $300,000 for the program, and you'll get a free Range Rover or Porsche.
There you go. On me. You're welcome.
I actually find that interesting that that's a thing. People are like, you'll get this for free. It's like, but I technically paid you for it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know. And you've definitely factored it into the price point.
100%. I remember attending an event. The guy's like, he's telling everyone how he's going to get everyone dinner. And I literally looked at him and I'm like, that's their money. He's like, yeah, but it works. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Well, scrapping dinners, for someone that is like, struggling Carl who's paying the rent, where can people find out more about you, Tom? So if I'm like, I need the help. I really resonated with Saturn. I'm more a Pluto man, but I like Saturn. I want the help with the industry. I'm struggling. I have misinformation. I need help because I want to make this work, but I just don't know where to start. So how does someone get in touch with you to get started?
I mean, my Instagram is always one way, and that's just Tom Merriman, so my name and then underscore. My website is just www.intellectualcoaching.com. You can get me through there, and my email is just tom@intellectualcoaching.com. So there's kind of 3 different ways, or LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So you could get me on LinkedIn. So there's a few different ways. Any of them are good. I mean, I'm not on Instagram loads. However, I do check it. I'm not very active on it.
So take some time. All right. Well, that wraps up the second podcast with Tom Merriman on intellectual coaching and his offering of Basecamp to transform the industry over time. He's not trying it, he's doing it. So now we're going to dive into our next episode with Tom to actually understand more about him personally, from his routines, his training, and his own lifestyle hacks. So see you soon on the next podcast. Hey, thanks so much for joining the episode of Table Talk today. We hope you found some helpful tips and inspiration in staying healthy and fit, even with a busy schedule. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast. Stay tuned for our next conversation. Until then, keep prioritizing yourself, your health, your fitness, and we'll see you on the next Table Talk.